So we will discuss authentication and authorization in ASP.NET Core Web API using JWT authentication. So first of all, we will understand what is authentication, what is authorization. So authentication is the process of identifying a user. The user will provide his username and password, and in the authentication process, we can identify the user if user is a valid user or not. And authorization is a process that determines if an authenticated user has access to a certain resource. So determining the rights of the user is called authorization. So we will use JWT authentication. So full form of JWT is JSON Web Tokens. So JSON Web Token, it is a open standard, and it defines a pattern using which we can construct a token. So this is the token format. The first part is this first part is header, and this second part is payload, and this third part is signature. So the format of JSON Web Token is like this. So we have data separated by two dots. So the first part, this is called header part. The middle part, then we have a dot. Then we have a dot, and then comes the payload. Payload means it is data about the user, like username, and the third part, it is called hash or signature. So this part has hash or signature part is computed by uh, using this base 64 version of header and base 64 version of payload. So this signature is computed based on the data in the header and payload. So if anyone changes something in a header or payload, then upon receiving the token again on server side, server will compute the hash again, and it will match the hash. So if there is any change in the data, then the generated hash will be different. So using this approach, server will identify that someone has changed the data, and it will invalidate the token. So using this approach, server identifies whether a token is genuine or not. Okay. So we have the data in header and payload, and using the algorithms, like if we are using symmetric key, then this is the algorithm, and if we are using public key and private key, then we will use RSA or DSA. Okay. So symmetric key, public key, and private key, these are the encryption techniques. So using these techniques, we generate the signature of the payload and header. So in case of symmetric key, there will be a secret, and which will be stored on server side. And in case of a public key and private key, there will be a certificate which will be installed on some server. Okay. Now the process will be, first of all, token will be generated from the server, and it will be received by the client. So client can be our web application, which is which want to use or you can say which want to access the API. So any application which wants to access the API, that is known as client, and where the ASP.NET Core Web API is hosted, that system is known as server. So server will generate the token first and it will return to the client. Client will store that token, okay, at their end, and when client wants to access some method, or you can say access some resource of API, then client will send that token again. So I'm repeating again. We have a web application, or you can say we have desktop application or mobile application which wants to access some API on the server. So the application which wants to access the API is known as client. So first of all, server will generate a JWT token, and that token will be returned to the client. Client will store that token at its end, and in the subsequent request, client will send that token again. On server side, server will validate the token, if token is genuine or not, if whether there is any change, if someone has changed the token or not. So on server side, token will be validated. If token is valid, then the requested method, or you can say the requested API resource, will be allowed for the client. Okay. So when token is generated, we will set some certain date time for its expiry. So until the until the token is expired, client can access the resources using that token. Now we will create API, and we will use entity framework to uh, add user and to validate the login of the user. Okay. So first of all, user will register itself on the application. User will provide its name, email, and password, and it user record will be created on the server. Then user will log in using the username and password, and in the login process, if login is successful, then server will create a JWT token, and it will return the token to the user. And after that, in the subsequent request, a client will send that JWT token to the server. So we will create a ASP.NET Core Web API application. I'm using Visual Studio 2019. So click on create a new project, and here in this search box, type ASP.NET Core Web API. So actually I'm using I have installed .NET 5, so the screens will be different for you if you are using the old version of .NET Core like 3.1. So ASP.NET Core Web API, click next. So this is the project name, AWT API authentication. Click next. So I'm using this .NET Core 3.1. It is optional, not using this. And click on create. I'm also creating a database for this. new database. So API is created. Here we have one default API added. So this is sample API. So it is providing weather information. So currently it has a hard-coded data. So we have created a database. So we will store our connection string in this file appsetting.json. So earlier we have in .NET framework we have web config. So instead of web config we have appsettings.json. Okay. And first of all, when application will start, then main method of this program.cs will be executed, and this main method it will basically uh, configure the web host, and it will run the application as a web application. And we have two methods which are called by runtime. So first of all we have configure services. So it will be used for adding the support of entity framework, or whatever functionality we need in our application. Like if we want to use session, then we can configure here. If we want to use entity framework, then we can configure here. Okay. So everything we can customize using configure services. And configure method, it creates a request pipeline. So you can control how your request processing will be done, and these individual steps which are called middleware. Okay. So this is the complete request pipeline. Okay. Now we will add our classes for authentication. So add a folder, new folder, name it as authentication. Okay. Before adding the code, we need to install some NuGet packages for entity framework and identity framework support. For NuGet package manager, manage NuGet package for solution. There are some packages which we need to install. So these are the packages. So click on this browse tab. So its current version is 5.0.9, but we need to add the version which is equivalent to our project version. Like we have selected .NET Core 3.1 for the project, so we will add all the packages which are for 3.1. So this is the last version in 3.1 series. I will select this one, select the project, and click on install. So this is installed. Now move to the next. So this is used for adding the migration and updating the database. So select 3.1.18, 3.1.18, click on for accept. Now we have installed entity framework. Now we will add support for the identity framework. So identity framework will use entity framework, and using the identity framework we will do registration and login of the user. Again 3.1.18. The runtime version of all the Microsoft libraries should be equal. And move on next. And you can say we don't have that 3.1 or 5.0 series here. It is independent of that. Select the latest one. Click on install. This is the last. So it will add the support for uh, validation of JWT token, creation and validation of JWT token. So for this package will help. Okay, so we have packages installed, and I have added this authentication folder. So right click here, add class. So we are going to add a class for application user. So application user class will represent the user which will log into system. And we will inherit this class from identity user. So identity user is inbuilt class in identity framework. Okay, so we will inherit this class from identity user. So we have to include this namespace. So we have added application user, and we have entered this identity user. Now one more thing, we need to add the connection string and the data for the JWT token. So with the connection string, and then we have here's for JWT. So this is the connection string name, and this is the server name. This is database name. I'm changing this. And we are using Windows authentication. So integrated security true. And these are the details for JWT token. So valid audience means for which application this token is to be issued. So it represents the client application. So this is the URL of client application. So it can be anything. And issuer. Issuer means the application which is generating the token. And this is the secret. So secret can be anything. It can be any random string. So this is basically a symmetric key. So it will be it can be either stored in database or it can be either stored on server. So it should be secure. Using this secret key, we will digitally sign the token. Okay. Now we will use the DB context class to work with the entity framework. So this is the application DB context. So I'm going to add a class for application DB context, and then I will inherit this class from identity DB context. And we have to include these two namespaces. So this is the constructor, and these options, the options will be passed from configure services method here. So when we add support for the entity framework, so we can pass some options like connection string to entity framework. Okay. For initializing those options, we have this parameter, and we are passing this parameter to its parent class. So this identity DB context is the parent. Okay. And this on model creating, we have added this for the data seed. If you want to insert some data uh, using uh, like when you are going to deploy the uh, database, and you want that uh, some records are pre-filled, in that case this method will be used. Now create a class user role. Here we have two roles. Now we will add the class for representing the data of registration. So we'll add a register model class. So this class will be used in the registration process. We have to use this namespace. So we have three fields: username, email, and password. Then we will add the class for login. So it will represent the data which is provided in login process. And then we have class response. So it will represent the response of the API. Now we will add a controller, authenticate controller, and then we will implement methods for login and register. So right click on controllers, add controller, select API controller empty, click add. So controller name should be here, is mandatory, and you can change this one. So this is the format of our API. So in the URL we will have API, then after that forward slash, and then the name of the controller. Here the name of the controller is authenticate. So URL will be API slash authenticate. So API is optional. We can remove this one. So API is not mandatory. You can see in weather forecast controller. We don't have API. Okay. So API is optional. Now we will add the methods for login and register. Copy these namespaces. Go to authenticate. And we have added the required namespaces. So we have a built-in class user manager, role manager. So user manager is used for managing the users, and role manager is used for managing the roles. So these are the classes which are included in identity framework. The user manager, you can see, is in identity framework. User manager, role manager, and this is for the configuration. Now, using the dependency injection, we have initialized our private fields, user manager, role manager. Okay. So these parameters will be provided by the .NET Core runtime. Okay, and these are provided in the constructor, and constructor will initialize these private fields. So this is the built-in dependency injection in the ASP.NET Core. Okay. Now the next implementation. So we have login method. Before that, we go to register method. So this is the register method. So this action will be called using HTTP post, and we will get the data of the registration in this object. So first of all, we are checking with the username if that user is already exist in the system. If it is already exist, then it will send the error. If it does not exist, then we will create the object of application user, and here we are creating the user. Okay, so if user creation is successful, so the in that case we have added the class response. So object of that response class will be returned. So this is the response. So we will add a status and message. So status is success and message is this one. If there is any error, then it will return the server error. So this is the simple method for registration. Then we will add a login method. So in case of login, user will provide username and password, and that data will be stored in this model. So first of all, we are fetching the user with the username. If user is exists, then we will check its password. Okay. So if password is correct, in that case, we are retrieving the roles. Okay. And then we are adding some claims. Claim means any specific data which needs to be presented to some other party about the user. Okay. So claims means any data about the user. Okay. Now we are also adding the role of the user, and this is the secret in app settings. So from the app settings, we are reading this key. So its format will be JWT and colon then secret. Okay. So we have retrieved the key for signing the token. Now we are creating a token. Okay. So because login is successful, it means user is valid. So for the future requests, we are creating the token. So we are adding the issuer. Again, we are reading from the app settings, audience from the app settings, and we are setting its expiry. So it is valid up to 3 hours. Okay. We are passing the claims which we have just added. So we have passed this key, secret key, and we have passed the algorithm. So this method, JWT security token, it will generate a token. Okay. So that token will be just a string. The format of a string I have already mentioned. So this is the format of the string. So that generated token will look like this. So that is just a plain string with three parts. The first part is header, second part is data, or you can say payload, and third part is signature. Signature, or you can say hash. Then we in the response we will return the token. Okay. And if login is unsuccessful, then we will return this unauthorized response. After that, we need to configure our startup class. Okay. So we need to add support for the entity framework, identity framework, and we need to add the mapping for the application user and identity role. And then we will also uh, add code for validating the token. So here we are adding the support for entity framework. Okay, we are reading the connection string and we are passing it to options. So you can see we have options application. So these options are provided from the uh, this class. Yes. So these options are provided from here in configure services method. Okay. So so one of option is connection string. So this connection string will be provided to application DB context, and application DB context will initialize identity DB context with this connection string. This method add controllers, basically it is used for adding the support of MVC. So we have added the support for entity framework. Now we are configuring for identity. For identity, we have created a new class, application user, because the default class is identity user. So we are adding a new class. So we need to tell here specifically. And now these are the settings for adding the support of JWT authentication, and also for validating the JWT token. So here we are mentioning that we are going to use the JWT authentication. Okay, so it is basically we are telling ASP.NET Core that we are going to use JWT authentication in our API, and this is for handling the token which will be received in the subsequent request. So once a user is logged in, uh, user has provided the credentials and we have generated the token. Okay, after that in subsequent request for accessing some other API resources, that that token will come in the next request, and it will validate that. So you can see validate issuer, yes, true. Validate audience, yes, and it will retrieve the data from the app settings. So validate issuer means it will validate the data which is available in this issuer. Okay, so it will validate against the data which is stored in the app setting. And again, uh, when when the JWT token is received at server end, server will again again compute the signature of using the header and payload. Okay, so there are three parts in the JWT token. First one is header, second one is payload, and third one is signature. Okay, so on receiving that token on server side, server will again uh, generate the signature again, and it will compare both the signature which is present in the token and the signature which is computed. So if a computed signature is equal to the old signature, it means there is no change in the token, and our token is genuine. So there is no tampering in the token data. It means the request is valid. So that's why we need to use the same key again. So this part, it will validate the KWT token on server side. And then we need to add authentication in the pipeline. Okay. So now we are done with the development. Now uh, we need to update our database with the classes which we have just created in our project. So we build our project, save all, build the project. Now we will add a migration, and after that we will update the database. So this is the command for adding migration. Add migration. So go to tools, NuGet package manager console, and write the command add migration. And you can put here any meaningful word to identify the migration, like initial, model, thing. Any name you can give here. So what it will do, it will create the statement corresponding to our models. So we have application user. We have application user. So it will generate the statements, and those statements will be executed on server to update the server. So once this statement is complete, we will have a migration folder here. You can see we will have a migration folder here. So this migration folder is created. Yes, migration is complete. So go to this folder. Okay, so we have statements for adding the tables in the database related to identity framework. So you can see the table for ASP.NET roles. It will contain the roles. Then we have a table for users, claims. Okay. So these are 6 to 7 tables which are included in identity framework. Okay. Now we will run this migration on the database. For that, command is update database. So these statements will execute on database and tables will be created. So before that, you can check here API DB August. So currently there is no table. So we don't have any table. Now update database and tables will be created on the database. So refresh this one. So you can see we have these tables. for identity framework, and this is the this table will contain the history of migrations. So whenever you will run a migration on the database, there will be a record for that migration. So you can see currently we have one migration applied on the database. So this is the migration name, and here this is the same migration name. So this migration name will be stored in the database. Okay, so we are done with the database migration. Now we will run the application, and then we will register the user, and then we will use the login action. We'll generate the token, and then we will access other methods. So to check whether authorization works or not, go to controller, weather forecast controller, and first of all we will run this. Okay, so we can do one thing. We will use the Postman tool. Okay, so you can see we get the data. We can also get the data using the Postman tool. So this is the tool for testing the APIs, and you can download it. So you can create a get, post, put, and delete request using this Postman tool. So click on this new button, request. You can paste the URL here. So you can see we get the data. Okay. Now we will do one thing. We will add authorized attribute here to secure this API. Authorized. So now all the actions in this API will be secured, and save this. So send, click on this again. You can see 401 unauthorized. This is the status. So we are receiving this status unauthorized because we are not presenting the JWT token. So now we will do one thing. We will register the user. So select post, and then change this URL. So it will be API / authenticate. So authenticate is the name of the controller, and in the controller have API. So before the controller name, we will have this API prefixed. Now we will for the register model, can go here, register model. So we will have username, email, and password. So we will provide this data in the JSON format. So click on body and raw, and type will be JSON. Now provide the data here. So its format will be like this. So this is a JSON data. We have key value pair. Okay. So now we have selected the method as post. This is our URL of API, and this is the raw data in JSON format. Click on send button. So there is some problem in the URL. Okay, we need to use this action name as well. Register. So now the data is added in the database. Okay, we have got this successful message. So you can check in the database. So go to ASP.NET user table, ASP.NET user. So we have added one record, Rahul. Okay. So now with this new user, we will do the login. So for login, change this action name, login, and the login method, it will expect username and password. So there is no need to send this email. So delete this one. So we have changed the URL. Method will be post. Okay. Now click on send button. So you can see the request is successful and we have the data in the response. So this is the token which we have received. So this part, this is header. After header, we have one dot here. You can see we have one dot, and this part is payload. This is payload. Okay. We have again one dot here, and this is the signature. So now we will call our API again, weather API. Okay. So for calling the weather API, click on new request, weather API. Enter the URL here. Okay, so this is the URL of for the weather API. Then go to authorization tab and change the type bearer token, and then we have to pass the token here. The token which are returned in the response. So this is the token. So we need to pass this token. So we are sending a GET request to weather forecast API, and in the header for authorization we have selected this type and we are passing the token value. Now we will send this. So you can see we get the data. Okay. Now if you change something, if you manipulate this, like changing some data, and then you are sending this, so you can see the request is not successful. It is unauthorized. Okay. Because you have changed the data, and on server side, server again validates the token and it detects that data is changed and it is responding as 401 unauthorized. So we have seen how to protect our API resources. So we just need to add this authorized attribute for the API which needs to be protected. Okay. If you don't use authorize, then uh, there will be no security check and it will be uh, accessible to anonymous users, so anyone can access. If you want to secure it, use the authorize and then uh, change the startup class methods to use the bearer token startup. Okay, so that's all for the security implementation in API.